Hello and welcome to another episode of Impact Podcast. This is your host Christian. I'm here with my co-host Amani and Darren. Y'all just say hello to the y'all say hello to the camera, to the
Hello, how
audience.
y'all doing?
Hi. Hi.
Y'all know us. We on season 3 now.
Yep, season
Almost 4.
yeah, season 3, season 4 is coming up pretty quick. And I'm glad that we made it this far. As we saw in our previous episode, we went out to our community. I hope y'all like that episode. It seems like we got some good engagement from you all from the episode. Let us know if you want us to do another one in our next season that's similar to that one, and we'll definitely do it because we enjoyed it. I'm not sure about y'all, but I really enjoyed
Yeah, it was cool. It was eye-opening for sure.
it. Facts. And
I liked it too.
yeah. And one thing that I realized through the episode is just how much a lot of the people they are in church, or they grew up in church, or they have something to do with being introduced to Christ. And some of them even church members, not to talk down to anybody like that, but a lot of times I say, even just analyzing people on social media, a lot of people are Christians, but they don't really try to value following the part that God really says and living a godly lifestyle. So I mean, I think that's a very important part, even when we go out in our communities and stuff, to encourage people to, like, it's one thing say we're a Christian, that's great, but we also have to be like Christ too. So yeah, that's one thing I really picked up too. So anything?
I think that with that, sometimes we get caught up. We think, oh, we can't say that. But if we don't, nobody tells anyone you gotta grow. Then how are they supposed? Like each of us, we all have areas to grow. And there was somebody that encouraged us or coached us or prayed for us, and we were able to grow in certain areas. You know what I mean? So we got to tell people. So you're right. I agree.
Anything you like to
What was
add?
the question again? I'm
No, it
just
wasn't a
playing.
question.
I'm
It was
playing.
just
But nah, man, yeah, because I think as a people, sometimes we overvalue grace, if that's the way to put it, to where we take it for granted. You know what I'm saying? And we think like, oh, God will forgive us, and we just kind of get to the point where we do what we want, and we never grow. So
yeah, I completely agree and everything, but that really brings us into this episode. Make sure you like, tag, subscribe, you share, do whatever it takes to get this into somebody, so they can see this episode, because it's gonna be a great one for you. And we got, like, a couple more episodes before we get into our next season. So with that being said, I got the first question. How this? How do you understand the difference between someone that's just a routine Christian or a Christian that has a relationship with Christ? Or how do you define the difference between routine church attendance, like somebody that just attends church, just attending it, versus someone that's actually trying to live a godly lifestyle and their church is their lifestyle?
Are you saying like the characteristics?
Yeah. How would you define that?
I don't want to rush this.
yeah, I feel like it's almost kind of like a, it's almost kind of very noticeable. You know what I'm saying? Like you can almost feel it. Like, not saying that you should be perfect. We always gotta put that disclaimer because people think that Christians have that stigma that like, oh, they're high and mighty. Like, you're not gonna be perfect, but it's just certain things that you kind of stay away from when you get to a certain point. You know what I'm saying? But if you can just, because we probably all been there, like if you could just go to church every Sunday, like faithfully in church, and then literally the night before or that same night, like you be drinking or at the club, you know what I'm saying? It's like certain stuff like that. So it's kind of like points out. I mean,
Yeah.
it pops out.
Yeah, and I would say you have to understand the difference between routine and relationship, is because think about it. If I'm living a lifestyle, something that I just come to church, I can go somewhere every day because it's my routine. Like my morning routine, I don't do Starbucks, but a lot of people do. I can get in the routine of going to Starbucks even if I don't get anything. I just get a water and sit down and do my work, whatever I'm doing there. That's a part of routine. But if I actually was like invested into it, then I'd be like, I get to know the people at my Starbucks. It'd be like my Starbucks. I know the people that works there. I have a relationship with them. I would know the owner of that place, and it's like it's a part of my routine. But I also have a relationship because I've taken some type of ownership as this is my spot, where I say let's translate that back to how people do in church. You can come to church, and every Sunday you just be like, okay, I come to church, and I believe everybody means well too, as far as people that attend church. Like, you don't just attend church just because whatever, but like you really think that you are trying to get closer to God, but really you're just into the routine of it, where you've kind of muted out God's voice because you're not really trying to get rooted in the church, get rooted in your faith. So you've gotten used to just Sunday mornings coming to church to this time. As soon as peace be unto you, you're out, and then you just do whatever. I think that's more so routine over relationship. Where if I have a relationship within the church, then I'm trying to help in the church. I'm trying to do what it can to help this ministry grow. I'm trying to do what it can to make sure that not just my spiritual life, but my brothers and sisters' spiritual lives are growing in the church. That's a part of having a relationship with God and within this church. So I think a lot of people, they want to attend the church, but they don't want any accountability. They don't want any responsibility. They just want to come, do what they do, get a nice word from pastor or whatever, and somebody that's inspiration in the church, and then go out. But having a relationship with God and a relationship within the church that you have is more than that. That's what I would say you could identify the difference between that.
Yeah, and just to touch on it too, like some people think like when we say that you live a holy life, that you just walking around ministering to everybody and all of that, it's not necessarily that. It's just kind of like being aware of what you're doing. You feel me? Like, does this please God? Or, because me, like when I do certain stuff, immediately I feel bad. You know what I'm saying? But if you can just live life and don't even think twice about it, that kind of would show that you don't really have that relationship. You know what I'm saying?
I want to tie in Galatians 5. It talks about the fruits of the spirit, and then it also talks about the flesh. So I think, like you were saying, you can kind of see it. It's popping out. So these are some of the things that'll pop out or the characteristics that'll pop out if you're not involved in you're not really involved in a relationship with the Lord. You'll see things like fornication, uncleanness, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, wrath, just heresies, drunkenness, murders, and more. You'll see a lot of things like that. But then for someone that does have a relationship with God, and they're not just, I guess, not even acting, but in a way, they're just attending. You'll see them loving more. You'll see them have more joy and peace. They'll be patient. They'll be gentle. Have goodness, faithfulness, meekness. They'll have all these things. They'll have the fruit of the Spirit, and you'll see it. You know what I mean? You'll hear it, and yeah.
Yeah, and because I also want to put out there that those other. Can you kind of read the bad ones again?
Let me go back. All right. Adultery, fornication, uncleanness. I'm not sure how to say this one.
What was it? Like, what is it? Can I see?
Yeah.
Which one? Murder, drunkenness, revelings. I don't even know what that means, to be honest. But
we can look at.
It's not saying too though that being a Christian that you won't fall into these things, because it's very possible you will. But it's how you handle it. Like if you can do those things and not think twice, you see what I'm saying? Then you kind of question your relationship with God. But like if when you get to a certain point, you feel horrible. You kind of feel like you disappointed God. And I think that's a telltale
conviction.
Yeah, like a conviction that you're actually growing. You know what I'm saying?
That's good.
Yeah. So I believe everything that we just said is true. And those are some things, like if you find yourself to the point where, like, I would say we're all going to.
My bad.
Boo, I'm kidding.
We're all going to. We all will sin. Maybe not all these things that you just called out, but we all might. Even some of those things might succumb to some of those things. And that doesn't mean that you don't have a relationship with God. So don't get us twisted that way. because we all fall short. But at the same time, if you are in the church and then like you're doing this and it's like whatever, like that's become your routine too. Like your routine is practicing witchcraft, fornicating, doing all these other type of stuff. This is like stuff you casually do, and then you be right in church. Church is a part of your schedule. Like you go to work, and you go to this, you do that. It's just become a part of it. So it's like you don't really have a relationship because if you like the Bible says, well, God said, if you love me, you keep my commandments. So that's the biggest part with that. So
yeah, and another thing too, if you are going to church like that, don't stop going.
Yeah.
Because you know you messing up outside. Like keep going, but just try to incorporate what you learn outside.
Yeah,
you know
like,
what I'm saying?
Because a lot of times what happens is, even with that, they'd be like, okay, well, the church people told me that I'm doing this, so if it's a part of my routine, I don't want to come no more. No, that's not it.
Yeah.
That's not it, because guess what? That means you lack you lack accountability. They don't want to be held accountable. So they're basically saying, okay, I'm giving up God because this is what I want. I want to continue this lifestyle. I want to continue practicing these things, fornicating. I want to continue to do whatever I want to bring this body of mine pleasure, instead of saying, okay, realistically, I don't have the best relationship with Christ. Realistically, it seems like none of my prayers are being answered because guess what? I don't have no relationship with Christ. So it's like, it's not that he's not hearing you, it's just you're not praying in his will because you don't know what he wants for your life. Because think about this. Let's say you hired me for a job. And then you're like, I want to be a boss. I want to be like one of the people under you. But you don't know me, so you're just giving me an opportunity. So every time I come to work, I'm always coming to work late. I'm always like not giving my all. But I'm still coming to you talking about, man, I want a promotion, I want a raise. But you don't really know me. I have not talked to you. I always talk to somebody else to get to you. I always talk to the other people to try to get the message over to you. But I don't come to talk to you. I don't ever, it's no relationship there. So you're asking me for these things, but I don't really know you.
And you're barely trying.
The only thing.
And the work you're doing is not really.
Yeah, so you don't talk to me. We don't have no type of relationship. And then the things that I do see, even without us talking, even from a manager, you cannot talk to a manager, but a manager can still see if you're a hard worker. So if you didn't talk to your manager or whatever, your manager can still see, okay, he comes to work on time. He gets what he has to do done. He completes all his tasks. When he has to do something, he does it. Where if you're not talking to me, and then you're not doing what you got to do, then I'm like, why should I do this? Why should I promote you? Why should I put you in this? Why should I give you money if you don't do the basic things? And that's how it happens in church. People be like, how come God's not hearing me? You're not doing the basics. You're not even trying to pray until it's like emergency. God's the emergency contact. Yeah. It's not really the main line. So yeah.
Can I ask y'all a quick question? And be honest. Don't try to flex for the camera. Would y'all say that being a Christian is hard?
Yes. What? Definitely.
Oh yeah.
Don't flex, Christian.
Being a Christian is really hard, and this is why.
It's not hard.
Okay, look at this. Okay, so it says basically it's really hard. Here's why. Especially when being a Christian is not hard to say you're a Christian, but living like a Christian is so hard. And then when you start operating as a Christian, as like a minister, a deacon, or just someone in the church that's really trying to be an ambassador for Christ.
That's me.
Yeah.
I'm
So ambassadors, youth leaders, everything is hard because you have people say you have an image to protect, and they make it sound like a bad thing. But really, as Christians, we do have an image to protect. And it's not our own image. It's the image of Christ. So we do have an image to protect. It's because people look at Christians. People look at people there's a whole bunch of preachers out there that we call them celebrity preachers. And what happens is a lot of our church people look at these celebrity preachers and be like, ain't nothing about the church. Look at the preachers. And then they stereotype them because they're not protecting the image of God. It's not about me or whatever. I might say that, okay, you see me as a good person, but it takes one thing and everything changes. But guess what? That's me. But who we're defending our faith. We're defending Christ's image, how people perceive Christ. And if we are out here living these type of lifestyles, we are protecting the image of what people see as Christians, if we're out here preaching this type of stuff, and then we're not like living type of lifestyle that's pleasing unto the Lord or even pleasing unto people, then we're tarnishing the whole image of Christ.
I agree with that. That's good. I like that comparison. I was gonna say, the Bible tells us like take up our cross and follow Him. Like when you think of that, that's not easy. You take up all your own. You know, He's not telling you just to carry your sins. Like He's gonna carry it for you. But we do have to bear something. You know what I mean? We gotta turn away from ourselves. That's not easy. Every day, I'm not gonna get into it. But when people say certain things or act a certain way, and you have to literally respond patiently or kind and not say anything and not be malicious and not gossip and all these things, that's not easy. Naturally, we want to turn up on them. Naturally, we want to go tell somebody, say something mean about them, but then we literally have to like obey what the Lord is telling us to do. So it's not an easy walk, but it is a rewarding walk.
And about the ambassador thing, before you go on, there's a Bible verse, Romans 14 and 16. It says, "Let not then your good be evil spoken of." And this is what I always think of about being an ambassador, right? Like if you got this Rockstone Church hoodie on, and you sitting outside on break smoking a cigarette, people gonna look at you like they're not gonna take you serious. They're gonna be like, and you invite them to church, and they're like, "But I just seen you smoking a cigarette." You know what I'm saying? Like it's little stuff like that you don't think like that people really are watching you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I would say, that I 100% agree, because and then they point Christians as perfect people and churches as a church full of perfect people, but really, like Pastor says, it's a hospital of a whole bunch of sick people just trying to get to heaven. And even the callings that God's given, like you just look in the Bible, most of the most powerful people in the Bible, they didn't even want that. Like they didn't want that lifestyle. Like you think that I just want to be a minister and just do this type of stuff? No, like I really didn't want this. Like I don't, but like it's my destiny. So it's not about what I want. I don't really like speaking in public. I don't like having to get up here and everybody's looking at you while you preach, and then they're critiquing everything you say, and they're comparing you to other people around your age, and they're comparing you to other people. Like, okay, he's come from this line. Why don't he preach this way? Why don't he come from this way? Oh, then you start getting to the doctrines and all this other type of stuff, and it's like, how does he break it down? Okay, I would have broke it down this way. I would have broke it down that way, and it's just like I already don't like I don't like speaking like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's that, and then people doing all this other type of stuff, and all eyes on you, and then your lifestyle you have to just, it's just so hard.
Yeah.
And it's, if God got you, that's what you got to do, but it's not something I would say. The people that want the mic, and they want to do it, like, I want to do it.
Yeah.
But it's, you understand what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
I want to do it,
yeah.
but it's not something that I just practice, and I just want to, I long for it, and all this type of stuff. Like, I've been up here in my robe, I order this stuff, I have people carrying my Bible. I'm like, you call me minister. Like, if you call me Christian, I don't really care about minister. Like, minister just it enables me to do stuff in the church, but I really don't care about the titles, because I don't.
Cause I be forgetting I'm a deacon sometimes.
It's a lot.
Like I really be forgetting I'm a deacon sometimes. Like some people are like, "No, what did you call me?" You know what I'm saying? But when they be like, "Hello, deacon," I'm like, "Oh yeah, I am a deacon."
No,
you know what I'm saying?
I can't stand it when somebody be like, "Oh, hello, Christian," and I mean minister.
Yeah,
like,
I hate that, man.
Like, I mean, I understand. I like the respect sometimes.
Yeah,
like, I don't
yeah.
mean just like call me out of it, like just to disrespect me. But at the same time, like, I'm not trying to walk around as a clergy collar all the time, painted as this perfect person. Like, that's not the case. Like, I'm literally just trying to be a mouthpiece for Christ, and I'm not trying to be like a person where it's like seen as somebody that's above somebody else or something. Like, that's really not it is. We are servants. That's what you are as ministers and stuff. If you get past that mindset of being a servant, we are servants. We're not higher than anybody out in the pews. Because we have a microphone does not make us better. Because that's what people always think of these preachers. They think they get up in the church and then they have these mics and they're better than everybody. We're not better than nobody. So that's the messed up part.
It's like not getting caught up in titles, even with, okay, hold on, y'all.
Yeah, but your responsibility is greater too, though. That's what people don't understand. Like they want to do all this stuff. Like if somebody say, "Oh, I need prayer," I can't just say, "Oh, okay, good luck." You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, now, okay, I gotta pray for this person. You know what I'm saying?
So I had to think back to the topic, but I was just like, okay, we can't even get caught up in the routine of how we serve. You know what I mean? And I think that even with the different things we're doing, we always got to bring it to God. You know what I mean? It almost makes us bring it to Him. Even these feelings like, Lord, I don't know if I want to do, I don't know. But we know that we're in these positions for a reason and a purpose at such a time as this. So that's something that we all can hold on to. And then as more and more people that are in the body starts to grow into different areas and things of that nature, and when things are challenging and you are serving and you might not feel like doing it, you could just remember like, oh, I'm doing this for the Lord. You know what I mean? I'm not doing this for myself. I'm not doing it for glorification. And Lord, continue to remind me and keep my heart and mind and humble towards you and the purpose of why I'm doing this.
And yeah, I totally agree with that. And like even with that, people get into the routine of like even preaching and stuff like that. They get in the routine of singing the choir and stuff, and they forget about all the other part and everything. I just want to ask one more question. I know we got a couple minutes left on the clock, and
This is good.
It is. And let me see which question I want to ask. I had a couple of them for you all. How can accountability among church members help combat the tendency to fall into routine without genuine spiritual growth?
That's a long-winded question, man.
Yeah.
Repeat it one more time.
Yeah.
It says, how can accountability among church members help combat the tendency to fall into routine without genuine spiritual growth? So basically, if I can just chop it down, how important is it for y'all to keep me accountable for not just, let's say I'm just preaching all the time, but y'all starting to get the same sermon, and y'all like, okay, you're not preaching anything different, you're not even studying anymore, you've just become good at your routine sermon that you do, and because you can preach and you can do all the runs or whatever, you're just doing the routine, you're not actually preaching what thus saith the Lord at that moment.
Well, I think that's important. Like for preachers, if you're a pastor, you gotta have somebody over you. You know what I mean? I feel like they're the ones that can come to you and kind of give you feedback, advice, and things of that nature. Like I know Pastor talks about you don't want to be the smartest person in your group. You know what I mean? You wanna have people around you that know a little bit more in different areas so that they can, iron sharpen iron. But for just members of the church, you got to have someone, just like how a pastor has to go to someone and have an accountability partner, you have to have one or two or three or whatever that you can go to, or people that can feed into you, and they are coming from the Word, they're wise, they're led by the Holy Spirit. I think just having people in your group, in your circle.
That's very important, because some people, and they got to have wisdom. I'm glad you said that and all that, because some people would just come and just say any old thing, like, you know what I'm saying? It'd be something dumb that don't matter. They think that they're helping you, but it's like, oh, Christian, maybe next time you shouldn't wear a red hoodie when you preach. Like something dumb. You know what I'm saying? But like as long as it's genuine, and as long it's a way to do everything too. Like, pull the person to the side or whatever. Like, and like you were saying, you should definitely always have somebody above you that you kind of go to, because you don't know everything, no matter how you can be the apostle of your organization or whatever, you still got to have a group of like people that you kind of counsel with. You know what I'm saying?
Or a couple, because I know each of us do. Like each of us have at least, we all do, because we have pastor and first lady ultimately. But other than that, there's some deacons and missionaries in this church that'll pull us to the side.
Or people that's like directly in your, whatever you call it, like your section of what you work on in the church. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and it can be something even as simple as like, let's say you're in the church and you're doing something. Like, let's say you're over the street ministry, and you're like outreaching and trying to tell people about God, and somebody else, they'll be like, okay, you're doing good as far as consistency, but the way you're coming at these people, you're not going to win them to Christ because you're like yelling at them and telling them they're going to go to hell. So I suggest that you, like, I'm speaking as somebody else in the church, so I would suggest that you come a little bit more in understanding and not just telling people where they're going, jumping to conclusions before you invite them to Christ.
Right.
And those are the things that you can get in the church. Is why it's good to have accountability people, because even in another area of the church, you're an usher. Maybe you should stop. Maybe I'm the lead usher, and I see one of the other ushers has been ushering for a long time. And I'm like, maybe you should stop like yelling at everybody's kids. Maybe you should stop like, being a mean usher for no reason. I love order, but at the same time, you still need to be a loving child of God first. Ushers are here to serve.
Right.
They're not here to yell at people's kids and to yell at all the young people or the old people, whoever it might be. They're there to serve first. So maybe like those are two examples of accountability people in the church, and even it's on all levels, like y'all were saying.
And another thing though, to switch it around, how many of us can take an accountability partner? Like if I came to you and said, hey bro, what you preached, you didn't quite explain it correctly. It didn't mean that. You know what I'm saying? Would you be mad?
Oh man,
But if
how
I
many
pulled you
preachers
to
be
the
mad?
side though, and
Nah,
like
bro.
it was just us.
No,
You know what I mean?
I wouldn't be mad. But man, how many preachers really need that, bro? And, oh man, some people been exiled from the church over that. They be like, preach. The way he was breaking it down, it was kind of like more in your will and not according to what the Bible really said. Because some preachers, like we see nowadays, that's what we're gonna talk about in the next episode, where they're preaching their agenda and they're not preaching what the Bible's intent was. Because when you preach, you don't just preach it off of, like, I can preach like a scripture that says something and lead it into something that's totally different from what the author was saying. Like I could be like, the author could be saying to like I preached the other week, and I could be saying never give up or something like that, and then they're saying never give up on your faith, but I'm saying it in another way. You still got to preach according to what the scripture is telling you to do. Like someone could be like never give up on faith, and I'm telling you to never give up on something else that's not really entitled to what it's saying. Or let's say it's just two things that's totally different, you know what I mean? And I'm preaching it one way and the Bible is kind of contradicting itself, you know what I mean? So I say it is very important for preachers. And it's really some studying you have to do too, because if you're preaching something where it's like you can see it even with what's that guy's Mike Todd or something? What's his name? Yeah, he be preaching a lot of stuff, and it's like, okay, he's preaching it in a controversial way.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? And then people have come out against him, and he's been like, he's condemned them and everything. It's just like, it's crazy.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, yeah. But I want to say too, the First Lady, she pulled me to the side some years back, and then a part of that helped catapult me into being a more steady and obedient Christian. You know what I mean? So it's important for somebody to tell you. I'm just telling you what the effects of somebody redirecting you or encouraging you or loving you towards the Lord, what it can do. It can change your life, just a word. So like even for us as believers, I'm not saying y'all go out and just be like, hey, you doing this wrong, you doing that wrong. But if you notice that a brother or a sister in Christ has been baptized and they've been at the church and they're in a position and they're doing certain things that you know is not right, and you prayed on it, you asked the Lord, like, how can I come to them? And if you really feel like he's telling you to go ahead and approach them, do it. But do it in love. You know what I'm saying?
And with that, I would say just take it with caution too, because there's a lot of people in church, you would that it's time to say something, but that's why it's important to go to your pastor first, because that's the ultimate accountability person of the church, because he's accountable for the congregation. So I can feel like, let's say I come up to you and you do sound, and the sound has just been trash. Like, it's been way too loud. It's like, it's just been bad for like 3 months. So I take it upon to myself, and I say, Darren, you've been doing the sound, like I'll be pulling you aside, be like, Darren, I know this is what you love doing, because you're up there shouting and doing all this type of stuff, but the sound is still trash. I don't care how much you shout, but it still don't sound good. So what I'm doing is I pull you aside and be like, man, I know this is your passion and stuff, but maybe you should like not do the sound anymore because it just doesn't sound good. And I felt in my spirit I should say something, and I wouldn't come to you unless God said it. Or God may have been pushing you in that direction, but the way you approached it, it killed that person. And now, basically, he's like, I don't want to do the sound no more. And he sits down, and that's what catapults him out of church, because he came from doing the sound. He came from a ministry that he was back there. He was still worshiping and stuff, and he was happy, even though the sound wasn't good. He was still happy with what he's doing. He was in church, and his relationship was growing. Now he comes out of doing the sound. He just goes back to the pews. And then he starts getting offended every time. He's like, that's where I love doing. They told me I'm not doing a good job. Now everybody in the church, the sound sounds better. And that's how everybody sees me, as a bad sound guy. So now you stop coming to church every week because of the little seed that somebody sowed, because they didn't go to the pastor first. They didn't go to a leadership first. And now they went and planted that seed, and now he's offended. And now he comes to church every 2 weeks. After that, he's like, I'm going to this other church, and they really thank me for my gifts and stuff, and they're trying to show me the way. So now all of a sudden he done left the church because you got in your heart to say something to him without going to your pastor.
And
first.
another thing too is like, yeah, you might notice it, but it might not be you who should say it.
Exactly.
Like, for example,
because some people don't know how to say it. Like that.
Yeah.
They know it's right. Like if somebody's up here in church just saying something that's crazy, we all know it's not right, but you might not be like what you're saying.
because like if you, let's just say Everett said it, the same thing, but like, hey man, you know, it haven't been sounding too good these past months. Like maybe you should just let me show you a little longer.
Mm-hmm.
I might have been
You're
like,
gonna
okay,
receive it
cool.
better,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
But
But
let's
if
say,
you
like,
random person, like, it ain't
But
been sounding good.
I didn't mean to say it like that.
No,
like,
no,
I'm
no,
saying
no.
like,
I was just
like
clarifying for
certain-
the audience. 'Cause
yeah.
That's what happens a lot in the church. People call themselves the accountability people, and they don't hold themselves accountable for anything. They hop over the pastor and kill the whole church
Yeah.
because they don't like anybody holding what they say accountable. Because I can be the person to know a lot of things, but my carry through is not good. Like I can be killing a whole bunch of people even though I'm saying the right thing. Like let's say that you make chapel cloths, and I'm like, your chapel cloths always fall off the women at church's head, even though it does.
Yeah.
But the way I said it, it killed your whole ministry, what you're passionate about. Even though somebody could have said, okay, let me show you how to do it, and they're the right person to say it. But by me going to pastor, the pastor should know who should tell them. Like if I come to you, your passion's doing the sound. Okay, sound sounds trash. You need to get out from behind there. Like, or I'm like, you on drums, Christian, you're always behind the beat. Get off the drums and let somebody else do it. I'm killing these people.
Yeah.
Even though I'm right, but I'm not right.
Yeah.
So I'm calling myself the accountability people. Everybody on this live stream or this stream is not accountability people. We can know a lot of things, but it's not our goal to be accountable, to hold people accountable. Sometimes we see things we're supposed to go to our pastor about it.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to clarify that for our audience because I felt like it should be said.
No,
to,
definitely.
To sum it all up, accountability is very important. You know, holding your brothers and sisters accountable, but you should also use wisdom in order. You know what I'm saying? In counsel.
Yeah.
And there's always someone over you. That's why people hate order. People hate knowing that somebody's above you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that person is there to help you in situations like that.
Yeah, and all that stems from from what you told me as far as like, what if somebody came to me and said, Christian, you're not breaking this down right? Because I know how it would feel inside, and it'd be like, okay, it comes off like it's easy to say now and before a camera and everything that you'd be all chill and be like, thank you, Darren. I'm so happy that you said that I wasn't preaching what the Bible said.
Yeah, because you've been working on it all week or whatever, and you just might be salty, man.
Yeah, so like it will come off salty, and you know the right delivery. Like he might have been the person I needed to hear from, but it'd be good if he went to the pastor first, and it would be probably best if it came from your pastor, from that type of thing. And you got to know that's wisdom, because wisdom knows. Okay, let's say you was talking to another deacon, and you was like, okay, Deke, I see what you be doing. You're the right person for that because it's somebody that he can listen to you like better. You know what I mean? Like y'all have more of something like
in common. Yeah.
Where I can go to another minister, I can go to somebody else and be like, okay, man, let's listen to your sermon. Your approach is good. You're very passionate about what you're doing, but I feel like you need to read a little bit more of that scripture because the carry through may have been blurry to the audience. You know, you may have confused some people, but I like that you're passionate about what you're doing, but you need to do something else with that. You know what I mean? So, but that's really good. I think that could sum up our episode. As far as why it's important to keep people accountable. Y'all have anything else to add to it before we get out of here?
No, that was good.
That was really good.
Yeah, so-
It goes back into our topic too.
Yeah, this is our topic, really. It's just talking about how not to get in the routine. And a part of the routine is accountability. If we don't have nobody accountable in anything of our life, not just in church, if we don't have no accountability person on our job or just anything, we just continue with our routine and not getting any better. So yeah, it goes along with exactly what we were saying. So with that being said, thank you for tuning in to another week of Impact Podcast. If y'all have a question y'all want us to cover before the season's out, put it in the comments. If we don't cover it on the episode, we'll make sure we try to answer it in the comments section, or we'll try to answer it even on Rockstone Church on our email. So email rockstonechurch@outlook.com, rockstonechurch@outlook.com with a prayer request or a question. And we'll get back to you about that. And also, make sure you like, tag, subscribe to our channel, and tag if you are watching the rewind on our Facebook, and just support us. We are trying to impact the future by pointing to the cross, and we just thank you for watching this podcast and doing everything that you can do to make sure that this is great. So with that being said, y'all have any final remarks before we get out of here? No?
Nope, I'm not even gonna bring it up. God bless. Love y'all.
Okay.
No, that's something. It's a whole nother episode.
We'll discuss it at a later time. But for now, our timer is up. Thank you for tuning in to Impact Podcast. See y'all next time.